Hello everyone, this is Matthew and welcome to another video, and today we're going to be doing the King review for Spider-Man No Way Home. So this is the new movie that came out at the end of 2021 in December, and wow, it made buckets of money so far, and it's not on Disney Plus yet. It was only in cinemas when it first came out, unlike Black Widow, which was on cinemas and Disney Plus, and it's the newest Marvel thing. And before I start, this is going to be packed full of spoilers, so if you haven't watched it, don't watch this video. This isn't one of those reviews that's like, watch this to see if it's worth going to watch. This is the one where after you've watched it, you're trying to get your opinion in order of the film to think, right, well, did I like that film? And this is just something, this is me thinking, did I like that film? Going over all the points and that. And it's my first King review of a movie. And it's one of those big films that's got a lot of controversy behind it as well. So it wasn't an easy one to do. I could have done like what's an easy film? Maybe Incredibles King review, but that would be difficult. You see, all movie King reviews in my brain are difficult. Well, all movie reviews, not King reviews, because there is no King review of a movie yet. So I will be looking at a bit of paper to just keep me going along, because I couldn't get it all off the top of my head, and I'm not going to have any background shots of the movie or anything while doing this, because budget for this is into the negatives, because I'm not going to be making any money out of this. But, well, let's just get right into it before I start rambling on about dog food and not doing the King review. So, spoilers. Click off if you haven't watched it. So, let's just say the movie's really good at bringing back everyone, right? So, nostalgia was a big... Now, I might be a little bit biased because it's bringing back classics from the classics movies, like Spider-Man 1, 2 and 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. So you had Goblino, or Green Goblin. You had Doc Ock. You had Lizard Man. You had Electricity Man. Sandman, or... I can't forget his name. Classic. Well, they're bringing back all these classic people, and Toby and Andrew, whoa, bringing them back was classic. Although it did seem a little bit unnatural, the acting that they were doing. But you see, because it's something that doesn't happen in everyday life, I don't really know how the acting should be done there, or how people would react if they found clones of themselves who were slightly different from other universes. That doesn't happen every day, so I can't really go heavy in and be like, well, you didn't act surprised or shocked enough, so I'm not going to be happy. So I'm not going to really take that as negative, but I'm going to start with positives first. That was just a quick overview what I went through. So positives first, and that'll be positives like maybe techniques they've used in the film, or things in the plot where I was like, yes, good idea, people who wrote the story for this, good work. And then I'll be going over negatives, which the negatives are extremely complicated, and there's one last column where it's like something that's a positive and a negative, or I haven't decided, or it's really just up to the person watching that's to decide. Well, start off with positive. So Andrew's redemption. So as we all know, in The Amazing Spider-Man, let's just say Big Andrew, he wasn't really good at saving Big Gwen, so she became Big Dead. So he was like trying to shoot Web, and then she just died, and then that was sad. And then MJ was MJ of Tom Holland Spider-Man's universe, was going big mode. Tom was like, no, I can't save, because he got wiped by, I think Green Goblin wiped him, or Lizard. And then Andrew was like, perfect redemption moment. So he's going down and he's like, wah, and saves MJ. And that was like, wow, good moment. So that was a good moment. It was funny. The movie was funny. It was just funny. Maybe it wasn't funny, but I think it was funny for me. I was thinking funny moment. I'm trying to think of any classics off the top of my head. There was a few funny moments, and wow. Doctor Strange. When Ned comes into Doctor Strange's castle, I can't remember the name for it. House mansion thing. Ned's like, I didn't think I'd ever be in here, and then Big Strange is like, me neither, and I was like, ha ha ha, funny. The other moment was when Spider-Man, all the Spider-Men were sitting, Spider-Man, that's a debate that's going on right now online of whether you should call them Spider-Man or Spider-Mans. Because Spider-Man, I won't get into it because this is a King review of the movie, not a King review of the debate and who's right and who's wrong. So while they were all sitting in Ned's mum's house. She was like, I'm going to bed. And then everyone was like, okay. So that was another funny moment. So a lot of funny moments throughout the film. And wow! It was just classic moments. Big Toby and Big Andrew, that's the next part. And oh, my stomach rumbled as soon as I saw, like, when they brought in Andrew first, which is kind of a disgrace, because Toby they should have brought in first. Toby 3 movies, Andrew 2 movies. You know, who are you going to bring in first? The guy with 3 or the guy with 2? They should have brought in the guy with 3, but, you know, best for last maybe. So yeah, but maybe there was some sort of reason they brought in one first that was hidden in the Marvel lore or something that I don't really know about. But I think they should have brought Toby in first. But wow, bringing them back was wow. If they didn't bring them back, it would have been like a D tier movie. So they did a good job, and they give them enough lines and stuff. They didn't just bring them in and be like, right, fight, and then leave. They give them a lot of lines, a lot of time to, you know, mingle together, all the Spider-Man. So that was good moment. Now I'm going to talk about the end. This isn't going to be this review isn't going to be in chronological order or anything, because the first King review, I want to get it done as quick as I can. My head is going to blow up. So it's going to be a lot of good stuff, but just not arranged in a very well way, because it's my first review. Because instead of trying to do something right, okay, I'll explain another time why I structured this King review at the end, the way I did it, because I just want to get into the juicy stuff now. So the ending of the movie, where Tom, he didn't die, but he was forgotten, and that's really sad moment. I thought it was better. They could have just killed him off easily, but they thought, you know, instead of killing him off, cut his ties, end all of his relationships. That is a really, really sad moment for him, and I thought this is really good what Marvel did here. I think that would be worse than death. Watching everyone you knew not know you anymore, and you're a ghost, but you're not a ghost. That's the thing. You have all the memories, but they don't. That's really sad. I just think, wow, classic moment. That really well done, because that's exploring different ways. Because, you know, normally it's kill them off or keep them alive, but this is really a different way of exploring tragedy in the heroes. So good work, Marvel. I really like that next point. Toby saved Goblin. Toby stopped Big Tom from wiping out Goblin, because Tom was like gonna pull down the ship on top of Goblin, and Goblin was like, kill me. I can't remember what he said. Oh no, maybe he turned good that moment. No, he didn't. He was about to kill him, yeah. And then Toby was like, ugh! And then Toby got shanked. Oh, I was going to get up and punch the cinema screen, because I was thinking, if Tom killed Toby, I wouldn't be able to hold back my anger. So that was a really sad moment for everyone. Because I thought that was Toby gone. I thought they were going to kill off Toby, and then it was just going to be a weird situation going on. But they didn't. Luckily, he survived. Well, they should have actually killed him, but I would have been sad. But it would have probably made the end a little bit better. But you can't have too many bad things happening, so you can't. So Toby saved Goblin and stopped Tom going down this path of anger, aggression, revenge, which Spider-Man Revenge of the Sith, that's basically the whole plot of that movie, about I don't want to spoil Star Wars as well as this film, so I won't go into it. Classic references, right? I'm just going to say one here, and I'm somewhat of a scientist myself. Wow, there were so many good references, and then the villains were actually talking to each other as well. It was like, wow, villains are talking to each other, Spider-Man are talking to each other from all different universes, and it's like, oh, like Jerry, the electricity man, I can't remember his name. He fell into electric eels ocean or something, and Sandman fell into a particle accelerator in a facility somewhere. So they're both like the same story but different universes, and it's like, wow, everything's so similar but like it's different. So it's like, wow, and it's just beautiful. Next point, Ned magic now. So that was classic moment. So he has the big brain and he's able to do computer stuff as well. Plus, now he has Magic Man, and Doctor Strange was like, okay, you Magic now. So I'm guessing Ned's going to be one of those magic people, and he's going to go to the training school that Doctor Strange went to. Spoilers if you haven't watched that, but I'm guessing you have since you're here. So Ned's magic now, so that's pretty handy. He's opening portals. He can't close them, which is why Lizard Man came in and was messing them all up. The pacing of the film, it was pretty good. The start, I think the first 20 minutes was hell, and then it slowed down, and then it sped up a bit. So I think that was actually a good way to do it, because, you know, at the first 20 minutes was like bang, 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 bang. So much stuff was happening. People were like, "Yeah, Tom, you're the pig," for being Spider-Man, and then he was accused of killing people with the drones, and that was just a really bad situation for him. And it was all this information coming to the audience at once, and I was like, "Whoa, my brain's gonna break," and then it slowed down a bit, so it gives you a chance to absorb the stuff that's happened at the start that was so fast that you didn't have a chance to absorb it all properly. And it gives you a chance to just slowly absorb the new stuff with the slow characters coming in, like Doc Ock and Green Goblin and stuff like that. They're all just coming in slowly. So so much stuff is happening. But that slow section in the middle just gives you a chance to absorb it all and think, right, this is what's going on here. Instead of just fast, fast, fast for the entire movie. So I like the way they went fast at the start, slow, and then a little bit faster at the end. And then, it's just a beautiful layout. And the last positive of the film that I came up with, and I didn't watch any other reviews because I wanted just this to be what I thought, because I didn't want to basically, if I watched someone else's review, I would just be saying exactly what they said. So I'm going to say mine, and then I'm going to watch other ones, and then I'm going to see, right, well, that's what they thought, that's what I thought, blah, blah, blah. So I will watch other reviews after, but I want to keep my review to me first before I start watching other people's. Just so I know what I thought, and then compare that to others after I watch it. So the last positive is the newsman. I can't remember his character name. You know the newsman, Daily Bugle, and you can get your daily supplements. Just classic moments. And in the start, he was in like a homeless shelter. No, not a homeless shelter. A messy room, like I think it's his old office, but it's like packed with books and rubble, because he was probably doing trash. I don't know how that works, how he was there. Was he always in Tom's universe, or was he just coming in when Toby came in? I don't really understand that fully, but he was there, and bringing back his classic moments was, wow, his chase for Spider-Man, his hatred towards Spider-Man. It's just beautiful, and he's just all about making the money. And then he upgrades to, instead of a green screen, it was actual stuff, as soon as he started making the money from the news that he was doing at the start of the film, in the first 20 minutes of the hell that I was talking about. So having him just there following them, the story was really good, and him just, he's the main problem. I don't think the problem of Tom blowing up people, that problem I don't think would have escalated as much if he wasn't there. So it just shows you, rats can really, well, not rats, but I'd say from the news person's perspective, he would be thinking that Tom isn't a good person. I think that's all the positives done. I've probably missed a lot out. I could say, well, the acting was good, all that sort of stuff, but I just want the key points that I've said are the main ones. So now I'll start it. So first negative, choppy action scenes. So this is in most Marvel films. They have massive budgets, but for some reason their action scenes are always a little bit choppy. So it's like punch, cut, and then it would show you, ow, I got punched. It's kind of choppy. It's cutting. Instead of just one long take, like John Wick 3. Wow, that is one of the best action movies I've watched. It's all one take. It's all the stunts are being done. It's no cutting. Choreography is amazing, and it's beautiful. Marvel, they've got all this big CGI stuff and a massive budget as well, but they kind of, I think they put more into the, CGI, all that rubble, than the action scenes, which I think is a little bit stinky. But I let them away with it. So they need to work on that. But in this movie, it was about normal. Not as good as Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings. I think that film, they did put a little bit more work into the cutting. There was a few more sequences done before they cut each time. So I think that film did really well. Second one was, as I was saying before at the start, the unnatural acting when all the Spider-Mans came together and all the villains were coming together. I'm not really going to keep this one as one of the main ones that I'm going to talk about, because I wouldn't know how it is if I met myself in another universe that's slightly different, who's experienced the same sort of problems, just in a different environment and a different situation. So I didn't really know how to react, but I think it just seemed a little bit not normal. But then it's not a normal situation either, so I'm not really going to hold this one up against it, but I'm going to say it's a little bit unnatural in my book, but I'm not going to really take this into account when I'm choosing out the final grade. And this last one, the whole film was basically a waste of time. If you really think about it, everything he's done has been absolutely useless. If you really think about it, everything Tom's done. Because first of all, he wanted to save all the people from dying in their own universities. At the end, they got sent back anyway, so they're all dead mode. Or did something else happen and they didn't die when they got sent back? That's just a little bit confusing, and that leads on to the plot holes and, you know, the spell at the end. Everyone forgets who Peter Parker is, but Ned and MJ, they still end up being friends somehow. And I'm thinking, you know, did Tom not have an impact on their lives big enough to make them take different directions in their life? So, you know, somehow they're living very similar lives, but without knowing Tom exists. So what I'm thinking is, you know, did he really have an impact on their lives if they're doing relatively the same thing that they were doing in terms of jobs and relationships after he's gone? So that's a little bit weird. But then it didn't go back in time. The spell didn't go back in time, I think. It just removed him, so maybe it should be the same. It gets really confusing, and there's lots of, you know, I could say, well, if everyone forgets that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, then would Peter Parker himself not forget and then not be Spider-Man anymore? You know, you've got a million things, and then there's always a point to back it up. I'm reading online, people are like, oh, this is a plot hole, and then someone else will be like, well, the theory that I have about that runs through all of Marvel films about this guy ruining everything, that actually makes none of these plot holes relevant. And I'm thinking, well, fair enough. So people have all these theories running behind them. They've built up maybe some facts from the comics, some facts from the movies, stuck them all together, made this theory, which is actually works out and fixes all the plot holes. But the theory isn't actually talked about inside the films. So, you know, the plot holes are still something that are there. So people make a lot of things to fix the plot holes, and I guess that's fair enough. But plot holes are still a bit iffy. But I'm just gonna put the plot holes aside and the unnatural acting, and the choppy action scenes are always going to be a problem for me with Marvel unless they fix them. Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, I think that one was, I wouldn't have had a problem with the action scenes there because they were a little bit more long for each cut, if you know what I'm saying. So that's the negatives, and now the positive and negative point. It's the end credit scene, not the Venom one, which left some of the Venom bacteria, I'm going to call it, in the Marvel world, which doesn't really make sense in my brain. How does Eddie Brock, the other Eddie Brock, no, not the other Eddie Brock, just Eddie Brock, get sent back with Venom, but then the other Venom doesn't get sent back? That's another plot hole, but then someone's theory would probably fix it. So there's a few plot holes, but there's probably reasons to fix them all, so I'm not going to go into them, and then people will be in the comments like, well, you're stupid, this theory backs it up, and that doesn't actually make sense what you just said, Matthew. So I'm not going to really go into the full details of plot holes like that, but the positive and negative of the other one, which is basically a trailer in the end credit scene. So the trailer for Doctor Strange Madness and the Multiverse of Madness, that being a trailer in the end credits, you know, if they don't release that trailer outside of that film, I think it's beautiful because it actually links directly on from the film. This happens because of what happened in the film. Plus, if they don't use that trailer for marketing outside of the film and they just use the posters outside of the film, it kind of gives the audience more of a reason to rewatch Spider-Man No Way Home or just rewatch the last 2 minutes of the end credit scene of Spider-Man No Way Home. So if they don't release a trailer outside the film, really good that they put it in the end credit scene, a trailer. But if they release it outside, it's kind of like, well, what's the point in watching that end credit scene? It's supposed to be a funny moment or an upcoming moment that's short, not a big 2-minute trailer. But I think it was really good having that end credit scene, and hopefully they don't release anything outside of it. so then we can all be happy that we watched it in the right place. So, I said I was going to talk about how I ordered it and why I did it the way I did it. So, I did it positives and negatives because that's the easiest way to lay it out. I could have split it up into plot and then talk, but I think from a first King review, I'd rather have positives and negatives so you can see, you can write, right, he spent 15 minutes talking about positives, he spent 5 minutes talking about negatives. You can kind of weigh that up yourself. And he spent 1 minute talking about something that can be, you can decide what you want. But yeah, I'm gonna watch other reviews after I've made this because I wanted this to be my own, and then I'll read the others and then change my opinions after. I did read some of the plot hole defenses against the plot holes. Because that's a really important one. I wouldn't have been able to talk about plot holes as much as I did there without reading those, because plot holes, they're very confusing in Marvel because they start bringing time into it and spells and all this science fiction stuff. Well, science fiction, it might not be science fiction. Maybe all the stuff is real. It's just we haven't found it yet. And well, brain's gonna melt because this is 20-minute King review. Wow, but it's really good King review. Hopefully. But wow, Spiderman No Way Home. Beautiful. Nostalgia's probably going to make me get the wrong grade, so I'll say the grade. The grade for Spiderman No Way Home is A star. Look, here's the positives and negatives. Look, you can see a million positives, a few negatives. I could have added a few more here. I could have probably added a few more here. And this one, I'm putting more to the positive side for now. So that's why I'm giving it an A star. I'm going to say, compared to Infinity War, I'm going to say it's a tie in which one's better, because I've been asked which one do I think's better, and I think they're both tied, because I haven't really came to the final, because Infinity War was kind of the same, because you had all these different groups, everyone was different. You had Thor didn't mingle with anyone else in the other, like, he didn't meet the Avengers before Infinity War, he didn't meet the Guardians of the Galaxy. None of these groups of different people in Marvel met it yet. So I think Infinity War was on the same playing field. All these different heroes coming together and meeting instead of just a solo film for each of them. And that was just really good, showing how the different dynamics of the different characters and groups would all mix together. And, they're thinking, wait, who are you? You're a part of the Avengers? What's the Avengers? Wow. Some some random group of heroes who are trash. That's what most of the other people are probably thinking. Thor, but Thor's the lad. I'm rambling on too much. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that you agree or disagree, and if you want to write what you think in the comments, I'll be fair enough, because I want to know if I made any mistakes. I'm not remaking this video though, unless I do. It does really horrible and people are like, well, actually you're big dumb, you watched the wrong film, and then I'd be like, okay, fair enough. But if you've got anything to fix, write in the comments, and in the description I'll have any corrections in a wee subheading, and I'll say corrections, and then I'll write at 15:15 I say Jerry is a pig, but he's actually a donut. So that'll be the corrections. Thank you if you made it this far. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the film as much as I did and this King review. Maybe a few things that I said in this King review you didn't think about before, or maybe it's just I don't know why people watch reviews. I enjoy watching reviews sometimes. I enjoy making them. And maybe people also have different reasons for doing it. But cheerio, I guess. Cheerio.